to another fact that this is not just an American phenomenon. The new right-wingers in Europe, like Alternative for Germany or Viktor Orban, we know who, boss of Hungary, regularly refer to Ursula von der Leyen, a right-wing centrist, as a communist. They claim Marxism is in power in Europe. And this exclusivity, when both sides are designating each other with these radical terms, is a signal of something extremely dangerous. People say democracy means diverse voices can be heard. I claim yes and no. Democracy also presupposes some basic consensus, social pact about basic values and rules. For example, although I think Al Gore won, but in those Bush Younger versus Al Gore, do you remember how, although it was unclear, when it was nonetheless the decision that in Florida for a couple of hundred of votes Bush won, everybody accepted this. Now this no longer works. Trump is already threatening with unrest, with violence, and so on. I really think, that's my big pessimism, right, that liberal democracy, old Fukuyama's dream of the end of history, liberal democracy is reaching its limitations. And the dangerous prospect I see, what is emerging as the main candidate, I hope you agree, is something that I call soft fascism. That is to say, full modernization, capitalist modernization, but with a strong state which legitimizes itself through some traditional conservative... Yes, because of what will happen if Trump wins. Of course I am, in an abstract sense, for Kamala Harris. But we should nonetheless all the time be aware that she really doesn't have a convincing new vision. I think that the first question we should ask is, how come that from the kind of American consensus which lasted till some 15, 20 years ago, how was it possible that a figure like Trump emerged? Don't blame the fanatical right, blame the liberal center. Trump exploited deftly faithful limitations of this benevolent welfare state liberal center. We should begin with self-critique, not just with attacking Trump. It's clear now with Kamala. She knows that she's under double pressure. She needs the support of the Jewish lobby, and she needs the support of young blacks, Muslims, and other progressives. And she is doing, I think, the worst thing possible, avoiding clear positions and so on. So I am for, that would be my metaphor. If I were to be US citizen, I would vote for Kamala. But before entering the space where you put your vote, I would do something like crossing myself and asking God for forgiveness that I'm voting for the lesser devil, because the choice is not a true choice. My wager was, I know, a little bit risky, because one good argument that I heard years ago against myself is am I not repeating the mistake of communists in Germany in 1933, when they said it's better that Hitler won, now all these false intermediate positions fall away, it's us and the real enemy. In some sense they were right, and at the end Hitler lost, but I don't know how many millions were the price. So my point was that at that point, and I will define precisely that point, when Trump didn't yet have, okay, he had a vision, but he didn't yet have a detailed program of how to reform, change the whole texture of American life. At that point, it would be good to give him a chance so that people will see what he is. And I think I was not wrong indeed, because my idea was that nonetheless, American society was so rich in its texture, different groups, spontaneous, that you cannot simply reform it in this radical right-wing term if you have the president. Today, I was also, I think, right at another point. Look, what happened as a reaction to Trump, I claim, was that we got, they are weak, I know, but nonetheless, we got so-called democratic socialists, Bernie Sanders and so on, and I don't think they would be possible, and it was for the first time after long decades that an element of not marginal group, but main politics refers to itself openly as socialists. And here, so it was this tension within the Democratic Party itself between the Clinton big bankers, corporations, and Bernie Sanders and others, the beautiful one, AOC, Alessandria, I think he is already part of the mainstream there. But what I want to say is that the fact that there was this other dimension is, for me, one image, and I hope we agree here, you will, that fascinated me as the absolute moment of truth. Do you remember Biden inauguration? All that black poet lady, she is establishment, pure bullshit and so on, blah, blah. But you remember the image. Biden sitting alone on stairs. Sorry? Bernie. Did I say Biden? Yes. My God. If you take power, 2 years of gulag for this mistake. Yeah. Bernie was sitting alone and just sitting there, and this was the image. He embodied what was fake about the Democratic Party. And they missed the lesson. We can go on into it. And many mistakes. First mistake was, and we should learn this from Trump, extremism. There is bad extremism, but there is good extremism in the sense that you openly say what you think. You are not too careful. Will I heard this? Will I heard that? Wasn't already Biden, but then Kamala even more, doing exactly this. I remember I was ashamed 1 month ago. She was asked by some black TV commentator, she was simply asked, you changed a whole series of your positions. 4 years ago, when you were against fracking, now you are for. Where do you stand? And her answer was, I always think we should look for consensus and solidarity among the people. And then the guy asked her, okay, but what does, you know, they should learn the lesson of Bernie, which was ingenious. Now that he's old, I will probably visit Birmingham and try to meet him there. Now he's a nice old guy, walks every day there alone. No, where he said, no, don't focus on that old democratic fear. Are we too much to the left? We will lose middle voters. No, our true target should be those disappointed white people, and not but just white, also many blacks and especially Latinos, who vote for Trump, and they are our potential voters. We should target them, and he proved this. He repeatedly won, he was for, I don't know how many times, the governor of, what's his state? Not Wyoming, my God. Vermont, yeah. But you know who were his voters? Precisely those who should have been Trump voters. Small farmers, all armed with guns, afraid, and so on. So there is, I will not go on, but you can just enumerate mistakes. So I think it's wrong. Those who think that Kamala lost because she was woman and black. No, modern global capitalist system is much more intelligent. You here got the lesson, conservatives, to cover up real everyday racism. Conservative Party today, the ideal leader is a black woman, of course. You have it now. You know, they simply, and there are, I will not bore you, but there are so many lessons that they didn't get. And it's not simply that they didn't get. They were told all the time, but this is the true force of ideology today. This I know very well, but even if you are told the truth, you ignore it. So let me conclude so that you will not again with, here again, Niels Bohr, you know it, I used it even here maybe. He proposed the best formula that I know of how ideology functions today. You must know the story. I read it in a biography of Niels Bohr. He had at the entrance to his country house a horseshoe. In our primitive Europe, this is a superstitious item. Allegedly, it prevents evil spirits to enter the house. And a scientist friend visited him and said, but aren't you a scientist? Do you believe in this bullshit? You know what Niels Bohr answered? Of course I'm a scientist. I don't believe it. Then friend asked, but why do you have it there? Bohr answered, because I was told that it works even if you don't believe in it. That's how liberals effectively function today. It's utter cynicism. They themselves do not really believe. Sorry.
I want to ask you what you think would be the impact of Trump winning on the global stage. What do you think will happen in Ukraine? What do you think is happening in the Middle East after he becomes president?
Very good question. What I'm really afraid, that will be the paradox. It's a problematic position. Please attack me more. But what I don't fear so much that Trump will now do some crazy things, revolution, blah, blah. No, he already gives hints that he will act superficially, much more modestly. You know, he will try to enforce some peace in Ukraine by putting pressure on Ukraine, and here we can debate it, but I know all that Ukraine is doing wrong, corruption, Western capital. For example, do you know that 40% now of the best Ukrainian earth is the best in the world to grow plants and so on. 40% is already in Western hands. But nonetheless, I think that I don't agree with this standard leftist idea. Ukraine is leading a proxy for NATO, a proxy war against Russia. Sorry, first, this is so humiliating for Ukrainians. Do you think really they are so stupid to say, we could have lived in peace, but hey, why don't we lead a proxy war? No, they are desperate, they are afraid. The choice for them is not peace or war. It's war or disappearance. Trump is saying this all the time, explicitly. No, Trump, sorry, now I'm confused. Second, to put me in gulag for a second. But Trump's friend, Putin is saying Ukrainians don't exist. And I don't understand how leftists have sympathies here for Putin when you don't remember this. I think I was earlier here, not last year. You know, when Putin started the aggression, he gave two speeches, 21st and 23rd of October, whatever. No, sorry, it was February or March, February, yeah. Do you know that you can find them on YouTube immediately? He mentions critically just one name, 2 times, Lenin. He said the proper name of Ukraine should be Ukraine of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. And then another time and so on. So I just don't get this, but let me return to. So Trump is intelligent enough. I think he will play this game because one thing is true. He didn't start any wars. He even eased the tensions with North Korea. But this is too optimistic. He gave an ambiguous hint even to Netanyahu that he should stop. So what I fear is that he will not do any direct horrible things, like new war, whatever, but that he will proceed in a much more cautious way. Just he learned this in his 4 years out of power. Taking over, filling with his people institutions, slowly, step by step. First, it's limitations to abortion. Then, now I read somewhere that in some states already, if you are not yet 18, 19, a woman, you have to have parents' permission to get the pills and so on, contraception pills, so that we will think, oh, but lives go on. Listen, where was all the fear? And step by step, all of a sudden, we will find ourselves in a different universe.